Okay, hello everyone, and welcome again to today's webinar, Quick Start Your Expense Automation with Nexonia. My name is Kim Fellman. I'll be your moderator, and I'm excited to be hosting this session today. This webinar is brought to you by JMT Consulting. We are ERP and financial management solution specialists for nonprofits. We have nearly 30 years of experience helping nonprofits with technology and business processes for the back office. Before I hand it over to Nexonia, I have a few housekeeping items to cover. First, today's webinar will be recorded and we will be emailing that to you within 24 hours for on-demand access along with the slide deck. And we would love to hear from you during today's presentation. So if you have a question, please feel free to send it through the Q&A tab at the bottom of your control panel. And if we can't get to your questions today, we will follow up with you over email. So without further ado, I'd like to get us started by welcoming Byron and Sandra from Nexonia, and off to you both.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you everybody for joining today. Just a very quick background. So Nexonia and JMT have been partnering now for 4+ years, and we have 50+ clients together. Now really JMT also uses us internally, and you know, one of the big things and benefits that they saw was our Intact integration, but then also that we can help out their MIP clients as well on the expense side. So I do want to thank you again. And I do have my colleague, Sandra Gelb. She'll be walking you through the demo today. So sit back, relax, and yeah, hopefully you enjoy what you see.
Great, thanks Byron. And thanks so much everyone for joining. I'm gonna start off just giving a bit of a company background on Nexonia, and then I'll jump into showing the system. Feel free to ask any questions if you have them. I'm happy to answer them. So just to give you the background, Nexonia, we've been serving customers since 2004. We work on all major web browsers, and we work with organizations pretty much all over the world, every size, every industry, and every country. We do have a large base of clients that are nonprofit organizations and work extremely well with them. When it comes to our expense reporting solution, one thing that's unique about us is we offer unlimited expense reports. So people can do as many as they need to. You are not billed per report. We're going to focus today on our quick start implementation so that we can get customers up and running fairly quickly within 2 to 3 business days, especially with everything that's going on right now. You know, it's a great time to create that visibility that you need into your expense spend and be able to report on all of it. So I'll show you our mobile platform and the web portion. They both work together. Everything that you do on the mobile syncs to the web portion in the background every 5 minutes. We do work on Android, iPhone, and BlackBerry. We have full offline capability. So even if someone is traveling, hopefully soon in an airplane or in the subway system, they can still go ahead, track their expenses, and everything just syncs in the background to the web portion. We also include unlimited training and unlimited support. So we'll train all of your users. We have several times per week. People can choose the time that works the best for them. And then when it comes to support, support is either by phone, by email, or we have a self-service help portal that's available. It has all kinds of guides, videos, and instructions that are easily accessible. Now, so for our quick start implementation, we can have you up and running within 2 to 3 business days. You would work with an implementation specialist. We would have a preset category list that you can choose from. You can add a couple if needed. And then when it comes to approvals, you can have a 2-step approval process as well. We'll work with you on setting all of this up, and then you can have a file upload integration into your accounting system. If you need something that's more configurable, we do have many other options, and we can definitely you know, talk to you about that in a little bit more detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to show you the system, and I am going to focus on the mobile first and then transition over to the web portion so you can see both. But I'll start off by showing you, this is the web portion here, just so you know, we can set up your organization's logo and colors so it doesn't have to have the Nexonia branding. And this particular demo account that I have has some other modules enabled, such as time tracking, payables, and purchasing. If you ever want to take a look at those, just let us know. We can show you them. Other than that, I'll be focusing on expense reports today. Perfect. So my mobile phone should come up here, and everybody should be able to see that now. Here's the mobile application. So we're going to go ahead and add a report. It'll bring us up a default of today's date, but we can retitle this anything that we want. And this is going to act as a folder or container, if you will, where you can add in all of your different expense line items. And you can mix and match different types of transactions, out-of-pocket expenses, mileage transactions. And for the quick start implementation, we can link our reimburse cards that people can use. They're classified as Visa cards if they like, and we can bring in the transactions here automatically. Now, we'll go ahead and add a quick out-of-pocket expense. And when we do that, it's going to bring up this tab here where I can go ahead, I can take a picture of a receipt that's sitting on my desk. This is all just real time. I'm going to take a picture of this photo and I'm going to use this photo. Now, what's going to happen is it's actually going to OCR scan and read the receipt. It's going to bring in the date, the amount, and the vendor information. So I don't need to enter that in. I can go ahead and track items, items against either internal or if you had the list of concept of customers and projects that you wanted to track against, we can bring those in as well. Now the categories, these will be predefined for the quick start implementation, and we'll have a number of categories that you can choose from here. So we'll go ahead and just say that this was meals, dinner, for example. You'll note that it brings over all the information from the receipt, the date, the amount, and that vendor information. And there's a free field memo text. I can enter in any information that I like in this area. And when I go ahead and save it, that's how quick and easy it is to add in an out-of-pocket expense. Typically, I did go through it quite slow, but typically within about 10 seconds, you can take a picture of your receipt and add any other items that you need to track against. Now, when it comes to mileage transactions, so we have a really neat integration with Google Maps. And how it works is you'll go down to your category dropdown, choose the option of mileage. And when you do that, it pops up a locations tab here. So you can either manually say that you did 5 miles, it'll automatically calculate the amount that's reimbursable back to the employee based on the rate that you have set up for that individual, or they can utilize the Google Maps integration. And they can choose if something is round trip. They can add up to 6 different waypoints of where they're traveling, either by utilizing addresses in their contacts of their phone, a recently used item. I'm based in Toronto, so we'll go ahead and say that I'm going from our Toronto office. I can enable and stamp GPS of where I'm starting or where I'm stopping, or I can just enter in where I'm going. And I may just enter in, an address where I'm going not too far. You can even put in a general intersection, so you don't need to have any zip codes, postal codes, or anything like that. Although if I could type, that would help. And we'll go ahead and add that in. And when we save and generate the map, it's going to automatically calculate from Google Maps the distance that I traveled. It's going to use Google Maps as my receipt. And then when I go ahead and look at it, it noted that I was a US employee, I was traveling in a different country, so it even brought in the daily automated exchange rate and the amount that's reimbursable back to the employee. And this is all done within seconds. Now, as mentioned, everything that's done on the mobile phone is syncing into the web portion in the background. So if the employee wanted to start off on the mobile phone and then just finish things off on the web portion, they absolutely can do that. Or they can be strictly on mobile and never go to the web at all. So if we tap on this expenses tab here, we'll be able to see all of the expense reports that we have in the system for this user, Ethel, including the one that we just did on the phone. It's still in draft, so the employee is still working on it. We can go ahead and open it up and take a look at the item. So all of our line items have come over that we've just added on the phone. So there was that $13.52 for meals. If there was company paid transactions, if you were linking in a burst card, those are classified as non-reimbursable back to the employee. It will break everything out for you here to show what's company paid versus reimbursable. Now, we've also got the mileage transaction. We can either click on the paperclip or just, show me my receipts here. I can zoom in and zoom out if I want to look at the receipt a little bit closer to see the specifics. I can choose to hide my receipts. I can choose to see all my receipts on one tab. So I can flip back and forth to the different receipts and look at things a little bit closely if I need to. So really creates that visibility to have the receipts linked to the line item, makes it super easy for everyone on your finance teams that are looking at the expenses that are coming in and being able to, associate them with that receipt and have that clear visibility that you need. In addition, you can add additional items on the web if needed. If I choose this add from expense item, I can go ahead and add this in. Again, you can add in what you're relating your expense to, so whether it's related to a customer or project or it's just an internal item. The employee can add in all the additional items that are needed to track here and bring in their receipts. We have several ways that they can bring in receipts. Most popular, taking pictures of receipts from mobile phones, but people can either upload receipts, fax in receipts. Believe it or not, we still have customers that fax in items. They can email receipts or even utilize their webcam to take pictures of receipts as well. Now, once the employee is finished with this expense report, and it may be sitting here for a few hours, few days, a week, what have you, they can go ahead and submit it through for approval. And they can either do that by utilizing this action tab or just simply clicking submit. Now for this account, I do have a two-step approval process that's been set up, similar to what's offered with the Quick Start Rapid Implementation. So you can have it go from a person's manager, then maybe directly to finance before it flows over to your accounting system. Now, it's been submitted, it's gone blue, so it's no longer editable by the employee. It's gone to Ethel's manager, which in this case, we've named First Approver. So First Approver would have received a notification and an email letting them know about Ethel's expense report and that it needs to be reviewed and approved. Ethel, as a general user, can only see her own items, so we do have role-based security. But because I'm an admin of this account, I'm able to go in as First Approver and I'll show you what the approvals looks like. Approvals can be done on mobile or on the web. So completely up to the approver's preference as to what works best for them. So we'll go to the approvals tab here and we'll pretend that I'm First Approver for the sake of the demonstration. And here we go is Ethel's item that's sitting in my queue that I need to review and approve. I'll open up this expense report. I can take a look at it. If I wanted to, I can see, all the receipts on one page. I can, choose to show the receipts so that I can match what is going against this item. So the 1352 can zoom into it, see the item and match it against this item here. And if I wanted to, I can even view the full history of an item in case that's important to me. So if I wanted to take a look at it, we can even see that I was the one that submitted on behalf of Ethel. So we keep a full audit trail, times and dates and so forth of what's happened within the system. Now, when it comes to approvals, you can either approve or reject on a full report or a line item basis. So for example, if there was a line item that was in question, I could reject an item back to the employee. There is a rejection comment box that populates here. You can enter in your comment. It will go back to the employee and it'll reset the expense report in draft, so that at that point, Ethel can make any changes to that expense report and then resubmit it through for approval. However, because I'm an admin of this account and I'm Ethel's manager, if I needed to change an item myself and I didn't want to bottleneck the process and then send things back through, I can absolutely do that. just by tapping the edit here. I can change it. Maybe it was coded against the wrong customer. I can make the change myself, and then I can, once I've done that, I can then just push it through for approval. So we're gonna go ahead and approve this item. It's now gone to the next person in the approval chain, which is myself. So I would have gotten a notification about this item that Ethel had submitted. I can take a look at it. Maybe I just want to see a quick look at it. I can even see a summary broken out by category. I can take a look at things a week at a glance in case I need to see it that way. And if everything looks okay to me, I can go ahead and push this through for approval. Now, Ethel would have received a notification letting her know that that expense report has now been fully approved. Fully approved items are ready to go into your accounting system. So with the quick start rapid implementation, it's a file upload into your ERP, so Intact or MIP. We'll work with you on producing that file format that's ready for upload during implementation. You would just provide us with the sample file format of what your account can accept, and we will work with you and do that during implementation. We do have a number of options that are more configurable, more configuration as far as, automated sync into Intact, and configuration of multi-levels of approval, and configuration of categories. Just let us know if you want to discuss that. We do have other options that we can work with you on. The implementation, though, for that takes just a little bit longer than the quick start implementation. Another thing that I'll just quickly point out is our reporting tab here. Reporting is all included in Nexonia. So we have a number of standard reports, but you can customize and create reports as well. It's our own report designer. So any of the data that is in the system can be reported on and can pretty well be sliced and diced in any way. We'll go ahead and just open it up just so you can see the options. If I run this report, it could be based on time frame, customers and projects if it's related to it, even currency. So we can set up multiple currency if needed. And you can choose the group of individuals or department that you wanted to track against, as well as your status. So you can take a look and see everything that's been approved for the month of May, or you can run a report and see everything that's sitting out there in draft that employees have not yet submitted yet, so that you can take a look at what's coming down the pipeline, or even just set up, reports to look at spend across certain periods of time. You can go ahead and choose your format. So whether that's PDF, spreadsheet, or XML, and then it'll just email a copy of the report to you. And that's pretty much what I wanted to show today as far as expenses. I don't know if there's any questions. Kim, did you want to let me know if any questions have come through that I could help answer?
Yes, we did have a few questions. So Susan wants to know, as a nonprofit, coding needs to be charged by funder. How does Nexonia accommodate specific coding? And she also asks, what about split expense to different cost departments?
Good questions. So we absolutely can work with you on configuring if you need to tie back an expense to a funder or a grant. A lot of our nonprofit organizations do have to tie back those expenses to those items, so we can configure that for you. And that's absolutely something that we can do. When it comes to splitting expenses, you can do that as well. So for example, if you had a large hotel bill and you needed to split out, items, let's say the meal that was charged to the room, so by category, or it can even be by department. It can be across certain projects, funds, grants, all of those items can be split, and it can be split either by percentage or by dollar amount.
Perfect. Thank you, Sandra. So those were the only two questions that have come through so far. So if anyone else has a question, just send it through the Q&A tab, and we'll give it another minute or so and see if any questions come through.
Perfect. Thank you. And thanks again, everyone. I know this is just more of a quick overview of our solution, but there are a lot of options and configuration options that we can work with you on. So we're more than happy to have a call to discuss, what your specific requirements are and how we can help.
Okay, so another question from Cheryl. She says, the expenses were interesting. We are also interested in purchasing and payables. May we obtain a demonstration of that?
Absolutely. Kim, if you're able to get her contact information, I can reach out to her and we can schedule a time to show her our payables product. So Nexonia is flexible in the sense that you can have individuals on the module that is required. So if you needed to have expenses and payables, you can have different user groups on each module, or they can have access to both. And that's definitely configurable. Our payables product is you're able to route things through for approval, and you can create and review, and have all of your payables in one place. So creates that visibility, just as it does with the expense reports.
Perfect. And before we go, I have a poll. Oh, we have one more question. How does AP get captured in payables?
So AP gets captured there's a few different ways that people can bring invoices into the system. So they can either upload the invoice into the system. They can email it in to the system as well. It'll populate the shell of the actual invoice for them with any of the rules that they need or approval process for that particular vendor that they have. We also have a vendor portal where your vendors can, bring in the invoices, and you can also set approvals based on that. And the vendor would have limited access and only be able to see their own items. So there are a few different ways to bring payables into the system, but it works extremely well. We've got flexible workflow approvals, and then once it's fully approved, it can go into your accounting system as well.
Great. And is data entry manual or OCR capture from Nexonia?
For expenses, there is OCR capture. So expenses is we're reading the receipt, the date, the amount, and the vendor information. For payables, it's producing the shell of the invoice. We have OCR scan that's coming, so it's going to read the items on the invoice. That is coming Q3. So that will be available, but as of today, they would need to enter that information. But it's coming very quickly. So the OCR scan, typically if it's something that they need, it would be available, within, a month or so.
Okay, thank you. And can you give a little bit more background or details on what OCR is, like what it stands for and what exactly that type of technology does?
Sure. So OCR scanning is, it's a technology that reads the items on the receipt so that the employee does not need to rekey or re-enter that information. And when it comes to expenses, we're reading 3 items: the date, the amount that's on the receipt, and the vendor information can be brought over.
Perfect. Thank you, Sandra. And for everyone who's here today, if I'm going to launch a poll that asks if you are open to JMT introducing you to a Nexonia contact. So that just helps us know how we can follow up with you best. So if you could take a minute and vote on that for us. And okay. I don't see any other questions coming through, Sandra. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining JMT Consulting and Nexonia for this webinar today. And I would like to thank you, Sandra, for your time, and we hope you all enjoyed the presentation. So we would love for you to join us at our future events and webinars, which you can find listed on our website, jmtconsulting.com, and clicking on the Training and Events tab. And before we go, we have a question from Jessica to see how it integrates with Intact. And Jessica, we will get with you on that, and absolutely Sandra can show you more on that.
For sure.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time, and more than happy to answer any questions as they come in, and we can, talk about the unique needs that you may have and how we can help address them.
Perfect. Okay. Well, it looks like that's all the questions we have. So thank you again, Sandra. And this will conclude our webinar. And I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day.